My name is Meredith Banka, and I am the founder of the Side Gig Gurus, which is an organization that helps women to create their own economies from home. But I'm also a proud 6-year member of the Women Helping Women Fund board, and I'm excited to host today this spotlight session. So before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank our partner, Providence Health Care, for making this session possible. Our topic today is food insecurity, and it's defined as a disruption of food intake or eating patterns because of lack of money and other resources. And according to the Spokane Regional Health District, food insecurity is associated with poor self-reported health status and lower intake of fruits and vegetables. Poor eating habits in childhood may continue into adulthood, contributing to declines in health. Today, we'll be connecting with 3 representatives from organizations right here in Spokane that are making a massive difference in helping our Spokane neighbors in need to access healthy food. So today, I'm joined by Lisa Diffley, who is the Executive Director of Women and Children's Free Restaurant, Kathy Hedgecock, who is the Senior Vice President of Philanthropy for Second Harvest, and Doug Wardell, who's the Director of Nutrition Services at Spokane Public Schools. So thank you all so much for taking some time to join us on this spotlight and to also be here to talk about this important topic. Before we dive in, I would love to have each of you just give a brief introduction of yourselves and of your organization and its mission. And Lisa, I'd love to start with you.
I am Lisa Diffley, the Executive Director of Women and Children's Free Restaurant and Community Kitchen. I've been in this position since 2014. Prior to that, I was the Executive Director of the Women Helping Women Fund, proudly for 7 years there as well. Our organization is, well, it's a grassroots project that started in Spokane in 1988, and it continues to be the only one of its kind. There actually are very few organizations like this in the country, as we found out, because we are a fully free restaurant to women and children. And we're a resource for meals and groceries. And then we also, we do this in-house. Pre-pandemic, we have a dining room, so it's a full restaurant experience. But we also collaborate with up to 32 partners in the community, providing meals at other nonprofits. And then our third program is a nutrition education program, which is, and currently with the pandemic, some of these programs are suspended. But that's our 3-pronged approach to food security.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. And how about you, Doug?
Well, hi, Doug Wardell with the Spokane Public Schools. I'm a registered dietitian and have been with the Spokane Public Schools for about 24 years now. The Spokane Public Schools, we have 30,000 students that we feed breakfast and lunch to. We're about 58% free and reduced, so almost 60% of our students are in poverty, and we provide a nutritious breakfast and lunch, 180 school days a year. That's about 3 million lunches and 1 million breakfasts, so we're a pretty big restaurant. And then we do a summer meal program where we offer free meals in high need areas during the summer and do over 100,000 summer meals, along with fresh fruit and vegetable snacks in the classroom during the school year at our high need elementary schools and after school snacks. So we are feeding kids. We're trying to make their day so they have a great, we want them to get back to learn. We're all about education and helping kids learn. And we know that a hungry student doesn't learn. So we're all about feeding those kids in the schools.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Doug. And then we've got Kathy.
Yes, I am Kathy Hedgecock. I'm the Senior Vice President of Philanthropy here at Second Harvest. I've been part of the fundraising team here since back in 2000, so about 20 years now, and this mission means a whole lot to me. Second Harvest was founded in 1971. At the time, we were a central warehouse for just a handful of neighborhood food banks right here in Spokane. This year, 2021, is our 50th year. And today, our hunger solution centers in both Spokane and Pasco serve as a backbone of a hunger relief network that includes more than 280 partner food banks, meal sites, and other programs that feed thousands of people per week in Eastern Washington and North Idaho. 2 of our great partners in our network are on the panel here today: Women's and Children's Free Restaurant and Spokane Public Schools. They're longtime partners with us in this work. Second Harvest currently provides food for the equivalent of about 114,000 meals per day in its Inland Northwest network. Close to 25,000 of those meals right now help people here in Spokane County.
Wow. Yeah, incredible. Well, you can see why we brought all of you together today to have a discussion around this topic. And we wanted to kick off, we can't really talk about food insecurity or much of anything without recognizing the impacts that have happened because of COVID. And there was a significant increase in individuals experiencing food insecurity because of the pandemic. So I'd love for each of you to just let us know how your programs adapted to meet the increased need. How were you affected? I don't know if we want to go in the same order or if somebody just feels like jumping in.
I can start and we'll keep the order, I guess. There was an announcement in March of 2020 where the schools were closed and the governor made the mandates for staying home. And so that was the day that we made our change and responded to the pandemic. And so we just pivoted immediately from in-house dining services to curbside services, like so many of our other restaurants in town. It was immediate. And just to give you some context of what we were planning for 2020, we thought we would provide about 100,000 meals. We ended up providing over 1 million meals in 2020, and we already reached that mark by the end of October of this year. So you can see that tenfold is what happened for us. And about 40% of the women that came in for our services, for curbside services, were accessing food resources for the first time. So that was a response to job loss, school closures, and so on. And that is really how we approached it, is just to serve as many people as we could. And a curbside service is the most efficient, clearly. Mm-hmm. And then also we closed our nutrition education program temporarily, but we also continued to work with our nonprofit partners because they were doing curbside delivery as well. So that number, which was over 30, some organizations closed, and that came down to about 20. But many of those were shelters that were COVID isolation shelters. And so we were providing the individually wrapped food for those individuals that were isolating and quarantining. So that was our response to it. And it's continued robustly since that time. The need hasn't really dwindled for women.
Right. And Doug, in the schools, how did COVID really impact your services?
We call it pivoting, things just changed, as Lisa mentioned. When the schools were shut down, we had to pivot immediately. And one was just staffing, like, could we get staff to come back? There was a lot of questions about, was it safe? How would we do things? And we started with grabbing pickup meals, daily meals right away. And so students could come by. They were in virtual school, but they could come to school and pick up a breakfast and a lunch and a bag. And we did that daily bag for a while. But we saw having kids to be able to get your kids out of the house in a car, go pick up in the midst of a school day. If you're a mom, you talk about these single moms or dads, they had barriers. They couldn't come. Our participation went down to 25%. So we had this real big decline because when they're in school, it's right there. It's simple, but the logistics of driving every day to a school to pick up a breakfast and lunch was challenging. So when we went into the summer, we thought we've got to think differently. We saw different models, and we pivoted, went to a 5-day meal kit and tried to do a really nice job where they could 5 breakfast, 5 lunch, pick it up at any one of our we had 26 sites, so we tried to pick regional sites to make it a little easier. And we went back up to about 85 to 90% of our normal participation, which was great. So that was neat. And we were also able to serve preschoolers and homeschoolers because it was free to all children, not just enrolled students. And that was a nice way we could help care for students in our community. And then the pandemic right now, we're feeding just students. The challenge we have is staff. Like, can we get enough staff? Staffing is an issue for every industry, and we have staffing ratios and and service requirements. And so we're focusing on feeding in the schools right now. Our numbers are up. We're feeding more. It's free to all children that are enrolled or students that are enrolled. And so our participation lunch numbers are up. Our breakfasts are up by 62%, which is great because, again, free to all. We're feeding in the classroom at the elementary level, which has been a really neat experience. I think eating in a classroom is a smaller environment. It's more intimate, and it's worked really well for those elementary students that are doing that. We're looking at supply chain issues. That's another thing COVID has done, is just things are gone. 20% of our orders just don't show up. And so our managers have to pivot and change the menu. And that's challenging when you're all about giving that student the thing that they came to school for and hope they got. That's been a challenge, but we're continuing to work. And again, we're grateful for the meals we're able to serve here in school right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Kathy, how about at Second Harvest? Where did you see the biggest impacts from the pandemic?
Sure, just again, have to echo a lot of what both Lisa and Doug shared. When that crisis unfolded back in March 2020, there was just an immediate and very substantial increase in need for food assistance. And we also had to adapt immediately to service delivery changes. Things like pre-packed boxes, food boxes, social distancing and masks to keep our clients and our volunteers and our partner food bank staff members safe. As you recall, unemployment rates soared to historic highs early on, and economic hardships just destabilized a whole lot of families, many for the first time. Partner food banks reported to us that they were initially experiencing anywhere from 30 to 50% increases in need, and that even doubled at times. Just to give you some basis of comparison, during the 2020 calendar year, which of course included, the peak of the pandemic, working with our more than 280 partner agencies, we distributed more than 52.9 million pounds of food in Eastern Washington and North Idaho. That alone is a 58% increase over calendar year 2019. That total of 33.6 million pounds, which is just a way more typical year for us. That all equates to more than 44 million meals in 2020 compared to slightly more than 28 million meals the year before. To respond to the increased need, we ramped up our mobile market free food distributions really immediately to meet urgent needs and then also fill service gaps while partner food banks were under so much stress. By comparison, during our more typical calendar year in 2019, Second Harvest provided about 141 mobile market distributions during that time. During 2020, Second Harvest tripled that. There was more than 460 mobile market distributions last year. We also worked really closely with Spokane Public Schools and some other community partners to hold regular volunteer-driven food distributions at many convenient and easily accessible locations here in Spokane, including at several schools. And, as Doug mentioned, supply chain issues just have been a significant impact on our services since day one of the pandemic. Donated food resources really declined. We've had to purchase significantly more food to meet needs. And just in current times, we anticipate that will continue going forward.
Absolutely. So for the remainder of our spotlight today, we're going to focus on each of the three organizations that have joined us. And I'd like to start with the Women and Children's Free Restaurant. So Lisa, dignity and respect are two of the pillars of the Women and Children's Free Restaurant mission. Can you tell us more about how your staff prioritizes dignity and respect, and how this makes a difference to those that are experiencing food insecurity?
Well, I'll do this in two parts. So pre-pandemic, and we're always feeling hopeful that we'll be able to return to this level of service. A restaurant is truly a restaurant. I mean, restaurant quality food with a focus on nutrition is one of the highest priorities that we have. And that in itself extends dignity to the people that we serve. And the service model in our dining room was truly a restaurant experience where folks came in, there was a very minor light registration process. Most of the folks we knew by their face, we knew their name and their face as they came in. And they were seated by a hostess, they were served by servers, and all of the service that was provided was coming from local volunteers. And that this is done, this is a heartfelt passion that they have to serve women and children. And so many of the children don't realize they're in a free restaurant at all. They're just out for dinner. And so that was our model before. And to try to take that out to the curb takes some effort, as you can imagine, but still a high priority. So what we've done there was, it's set up the same. People are greeted. It's low barrier. We have a volunteer team. We engage a lot of college students and individuals from around the community to participate in our distribution. There is one happening right now. And so we do extra touches. They receive a calendar of what's coming up for the month, what special events. We have, I have a whole stack of gingerbread house kits outside my office that are going out next week to folks for their children. We had Otto from Spokane Indians come down and greet kids over the summer. We have special holiday meals that we put together. Mother's Day, Thanksgiving was a big one. We just had that last week, and now Christmas is all planned. So it's those extra touches to continue the connection and the community that people feel. We know that people will look back in their life at the reality that they were waiting in a food line maybe for an hour or more to receive food, often with their children in the car. And we just want to take as much of the shame and uncomfortableness out of that as we can and try to make it special. So that's our approach. It's a loving one.
That's amazing. And so, as the name of the restaurant obviously implies, women and children included, that's really where your focus is for your service, is on the population of women and children here in Spokane. And you've been doing this, like you said, since 1988. So why the extra support for women and children? Why is that so important today?
Well, why it's important today, particularly today, is what we've seen happen to women because of the pandemic. So when we looked at the statistics last year, women were experiencing the largest unemployment gap that they had in 20 years. And it was monumental. As I said, 2 out of 5 women that came to our restaurant were accessing food services for the first time in their life. They were doing this with the shame of driving a nice car, but no longer having a job in any way to make that car payment. That sort of reality was hitting home, and they were even reluctant to get out and get the services. But what we know now is that it will take women 2 years longer to recover. That's the prediction, and it's held up that it will take them 2 years longer than men to recover from the unemployment and just the income hit of the pandemic. And so we're looking at probably 2024 at this moment in time. And the hunger, overall food insecurity, Feeding America is predicting a decade to fully recover from the effects of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I think we have always focused on women because when we chartered this organization, we were responding to a need that women had for a safe place to receive a meal, away from men's services or mixed services. So many of them were experiencing domestic violence, and that's where this all started. And then we've just seen it grown. That problem still exists, and it has been a large problem throughout the pandemic, family violence. So it's just such a necessary thing. And I know that women helping women care so deeply about women's issues. And that is, we feel the same way. That's why we're in this niche for women.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for all the work that you've been doing since 1988, but in particularly just in these last few very unpredictable months that we've all been navigating. So next I want to talk with Kathy from Second Harvest and ask her, Second Harvest, we know, is really the organization that deploys a variety of strategies to make food accessible. And you gave us some information about exactly how many organizations you are providing food to. Can you tell us a little bit more about each of the programs that are involved in your multi-pronged approach and why more than one strategy is required in order to get food into the hands of the people who really need it the most?
Yes, when Second Harvest was founded 50 years ago, it really was to serve as a food banks for food banks in the region. That was our primary role. But we know, this network of food pantries that we've grown over the years just doesn't have the capacity to meet all the need in their communities. Even though we have a partner food pantry in each of the counties we serve, and that's 21 counties here in Eastern Washington and 5 counties in North Idaho. We're really aware that our network isn't able to reach everybody who needs assistance. So with that in mind, over the years, we've done all we can to expand our capacity to fill those service gaps by increasing food access points, as you pointed out. And our primary strategy for this, as I referenced early, has been our growing mobile market free food distribution program. That's one of the key ways we can hit those areas that aren't being served enough or as well. Besides here in Spokane, besides our dedicated mobile market truck that gets out and serves area community centers, schools, and other locations, we were also able to acquire a retired STA bus a few years ago that we transformed into another food bank on wheels. And that can easily serve a lot of Spokane, the smaller Spokane neighborhoods that, our big truck doesn't fit as well into to reach some more people. We also have leaned more into reaching more children facing chronic food shortages at home. Again, a lot of that has been done through our partnership with Spokane Public Schools, but in particular, back in 2014, we launched our Bite to Go weekend food program for school children in need here in Spokane. And that was in partnership, again, with another nonprofit at the core that has really been, a major foot soldier in getting the word out about this program and getting area schools engaged. This program has grown from focusing, almost exclusively on elementary schools early on to scaling outreach to meet the needs of middle and high school students as well in the community. By the end of last school year, Bite to Go was serving almost 5,200 students each week at 105 elementary and secondary schools in the Spokane area. And then to better manage this expanded child hunger outreach, you might be aware we acquired additional space. It's kind of kitty corner from our main distribution center in Spokane. We acquired the space a few years ago. And, we did some remodeling and preparations on the building. So it now is serving as our Wolf Family Child Hunger Solution Center. So we can, really focus on our energy on doing more for kids, not only here in Spokane, but also throughout our service territory. And of course, we have some senior specific outreach that we do. We get some federal commodities that target specifically seniors in need. And we've also had a contract for SNAP Ed services for several years now. And in that way, we've been able to really grow and expand outreach expand our nutrition education outreach. And not only with our teaching kitchen here internally, our hands-on teaching kitchen, but sending that work on the road to reach our partners in the wider area. So that's been a huge benefit.
So in all of these different programs, are you noticing some trends right now around food insecurity, especially as we're recovering from impacts of the pandemic? We're so curious as to what you're seeing in the community.
Sure. I think Lisa expressed a lot of what we're seeing too in terms of just what food insecurity is like now. even as high-level economic indicators improve, we know there will be a much longer road to recover for the most vulnerable families who are impacted by the pandemic. Based on what our country experienced following the Great Recession more than a decade ago, as Lisa mentioned, we anticipate it will take 10 years or more for those families to fully recover. The current Feeding America Map the Meal Gap food insecurity research found that 1 out of 8 people in Spokane County, that includes 1 out of 6 children, is food insecure. But since that research is based on 2019 data, none of that data can really be real time that they're able to use. We believe that with current inflation and other economic challenges, that rate is actually probably significantly higher. And that's because families are continuing to navigate economic challenges, including inflation and the food supply challenges for themselves, or supply chain challenges of their own. So we know there's a long road ahead.
Absolutely. Which is why, again, I'm so glad that we're doing this spotlight to bring awareness to this issue and into the community. So Doug, when it comes to Spokane Public Schools, access to healthy food for kids is just so critical. You mentioned earlier that we know that children who are well fed are prepared to learn, and children that are not as equally prepared to learn in schools. Can you tell us a little bit more about the risk factors involved when children are experiencing food insecurity?
We see a higher level of disengagement. We see children that act out. We see kids that can't learn, behavior issues, something that wasn't a big deal just inflates a child, and you just spend the whole time. Once a child, our counselors shared a session where when you get to your fight or flight response and you flip your lid, so to speak, and you get into your reaction mode, you can't dialogue or talk. There's no learning that happens there. You just have to care for, and in many cases, school is just a safe place to be. When you look at where many of our children are coming from the difficult home environments and difficult situations, they're not getting food. We hear our principals say, I just want to make sure they get a good meal and they have a safe place. And we talk about learning, but it's a lot of social and emotional care right now. So all those things that everybody's dealing with culturally, the schools, we are becoming one of the largest social service providers in the community because we're helping with mental health. We're helping, our nurses and counselors are doing so much more. So there are a lot of struggles, and food security is just foundational. And so the things we're seeing in our community, our schools, our little communities, and we're seeing those same things. And that's what makes me feel really good. When right now that all meals are free to all students right now. There was meal charge, there was lunch shaming pre-COVID, and so we had to put in meal charge policies. Basically, it says we're not going to turn away a child if they're paid. There's a process. We talk to adults, but we're not going to embarrass the kid, because we want the student to get the meal and go back to learn and not worry about did mom or dad pay a bill, right? Well, now it's all free, and I'm really grateful, because I think again, our lunch participation is up, our breakfast participation is up, and I think that's helping us care for students better and reduce some of those issues that I think are common.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'd love for you to share, what do families need to know about accessing school meals and other benefits that are associated with the school meal program? Because it's free meals in schools for any children. Are there other services that families might want to be made aware of as well?
So we have breakfast. We have a breakfast and lunch program. It's free to all kids. And the message to moms and dads is enjoy a school meal. They're great. They're good meals. I'm a dad of 4. When my kids came home, when they were at school, I wanted to hear, how was lunch and how was recess? Like, that was one of the first things out. Boy, lunch was good, or what do we have? And so our mission in nutrition services is to make their day. So families, try a meal, and if you want to send your child with some cold lunch or snack and then have the hot meal or the breakfast and lunch, you can do that. So want to access a meal. We have fresh fruit and vegetable snacks at 21 of our highest need elementary schools. So many of our elementary schools have fresh fruits and vegetables during the day that are available, and many of our schools also participate in an after-school snack program. So if your child stays and does an activity or a club, there are snacks available. We are talking about moving to offering suppers in some of our high need areas, and we've held off, and it's a conscious hold off, because we don't have enough staff to just barely get done with just our lunch and breakfast service. And I don't want to add something that we can't do and can't service, but we are thinking about that expansion. So that's something that might be coming. And the other piece, it's all free this year, and last year was all free. Families, we've really encouraged them, please still fill out the free reduced meal application. It's a really, when I look at other forms that other agencies have to fill out, it's a really pretty simple form. It's online. It's also paper copies are available in your school. And what that does for you, one, it helps maintain funding for our schools, because the free and reduced meal program data is the most current poverty data, not a census data that's 10 years old. And so now we have this current data, and that's how we get state funding, grant funding, LAP funding. There's program supports at your school that are reliant on those numbers. So please fill out, even though you're getting a free meal, please fill out that form. And when you fill that out, you access other benefits. Many programs in our community, sports programs, band programs, advanced placement tests, et cetera, allow free, they waive fees if you're on our meal program. And if you're on our meal program, you can go online, print off your letter that says I'm on the meal program, and walk it into whatever program. So there's lots of additional benefits that families, so even though we're all free, there's many advantages, including pandemic EBT that families qualify for, and to get additional funding to go buy food. So again, I would just encourage them, fill that application out. It doesn't take long. If you ever have a question, you can call our office 354-7270 or go to our website, and just, I mean, we'll do anything we can to help families access more benefits.
That's awesome. But I know that it's not just the benefits that you help families to access, because there's also a significant focus on making sure that we're helping the children that have food insecurity, but we're also educating students about the importance of consuming healthy foods. So can you talk with us about how you are able to do that?
We have great, well, first, I'm a registered dietitian, so I'm a little bit of a food geek. Not a lot. We have another registered dietitian and chef, and we partner with a number of community partners, including WSU Extension. And so we have nutrition educators, some that are out of some of our high need elementary schools doing nutrition programs and food tasting programs. And then we work with them to do monthly themes, like we're doing go, slow, whoa foods. There's like not good or bad foods, but the go foods are those nutrient dense foods, those fruits and vegetables and things that are packed with great nutrients. And you go eat as many as you can of those go foods. The whoa foods are the more higher processed, maybe a little more sugar added, higher fat added, that you can slow down a little. So the whoa, go slow, and then the whoa are the sugar, the high sweet pieces. That it's a once in a while treat, and we're messaging that up to students. We've talked about hydration, we talk about whole grains, and we get those monthly messages out. And we partner with our fitness and health instructors, so that when they've seen something in the lunchroom or the breakfast area, they'll go and the fitness instructor is talking about those healthy eating messages that we're partnering through. So yeah, we've got a number of messages. We try to send that out to parents in what's called Peach Jar. There's also resources on our webpage. So we're really using that partnership to get some nutrition education out. There's a sample recipe often with those flyers that go out to parents and students. So we really want to get the message to eat well. I mean, quality nutrition matters. It really does. And I would just say to moms and kids, fuel yourself well. Take time to eat good food. It's, I mean, Women and Children's Free Restaurant, they're talking about nutrition, high quality food. Second Harvest, talking about nutrition and high quality food. We're really trying to message that, fuel yourself with good food.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Doug, too, for sharing all of that with us and allowing families to know how they can access everything that's being made available through Spokane Public Schools. So as we wrap up today, I'd love to just ask each of you a couple of more questions. The first being, what are you most excited about right now with the work that you do? What gets you motivated and excited to come to work, and what's been obviously in all three of your cases a pretty challenging time. So Lisa, what has you most excited about what's happening at the Women and Children's Free Restaurant right now?
I think just the fact that we're able to do this in a way that is respectful to people, that they feel comfortable, that they know that the community is here to support them. They're a part of it, they aren't forgotten. And that is exciting, because we don't want anyone to feel on the outside marginalized. And there are challenges with staffing and food supply, and we're all experiencing that, but we're making it work. And I think the other piece of it is just the The volunteer commitment, the community really cares. They've supported us financially with their time. And then just to have a team that is relentlessly working to support others. It's so inspiring and it's exciting.
That's fantastic. And how about you, Kathy? What are you most excited about that's happening at Second Harvest right now?
Well, you know, as an organization, we believe that hunger is unacceptable, and it's just wonderful to be part of a team here at Second Harvest that really, you know, is focused on our mission and getting that mission critical work out the door day in and day out. The incredible community of generosity that helps Second Harvest get food to where it's needed most also is incredibly inspiring to me. That it really just keeps me excited about my work every day and just makes it so meaningful.
That's great. And Doug, with the schools, there's always something exciting happening in school. So what are you most excited about there?
When I get to see what our kids enjoying meals, me getting out and serving, I have to get out of my office. Like every day I want to go, I go see a meal. If I can step up and serve a meal with the kids, they are so real and transparent. That really energizes me. And I think I have the best job in the world because I get to cheerlead mostly women who have a heart to serve kids. And when you see how they've stepped up when the pandemic hit, these organizations too, we just stepped up. We started serving curbside. It was, I mean, our staff, and they are so resilient. And you see our nutrition services team members with their heart, like, okay, the food didn't show something, but you know what? They make a change, they pivot, they get something nutritious, they serve it out to those students. Yeah, it excites me to see how resilient and hardworking our team members are. And when I get to go and be with them, being in the schools with kids is, I mean, if you need to get a fix and want to see something good, our kids are resilient. They'll get there, and being in the schools with them, that gets me going.
That's awesome. So I've got one last question for each of you today, and it's, other than funding, what support from our local Spokane community would be most helpful for your organization around this topic of food insecurity? How can we make a difference for you? Lisa?
Well, I mean, I always say that time is the greatest gift people can give. It's a non-renewable gift, and you can't get it back. It means more to me than money, to be honest, because it has a lot of value at an organization like ours. I mean, we have 7 employees and, you know, maybe 300 volunteers. So think of the value that those 300 people bring. So if aside from funding, which is always important to a nonprofit, just volunteering, even if it's occasionally, it makes a tremendous difference. And I thought about this question a lot because volunteering is an obvious one. We would all say that. I think it's awareness of what we do. And so if people are engaged in social media, find those nonprofits that you respect and care about, join that group, like them, follow them. There's value in that following for our sponsors, for our supporters. It has value in that way. So connect with us through that. We're not making a lot of in-person connections right now, but let's do that, and go to our website, go to any website of an organization that you like, look for the volunteer tab and fill it out and see, you know, try it out and see if it speaks to you.
That's great. And what about you, Kathy?
You know, it's really the collaborative and volunteer-driven nature of Second Harvest services that really fuel the work that we do. We have more than 100 partner agencies right here in Spokane that we work with to deliver our services. Also, we have many food donors who support this work, from individuals donating at community food drives to our local retail stores, and also to regional farmers and other food producers. We just have a massive amount of people supporting this work through donating food. In fact, if you look at our financial statements, you'll see that the in-kind value of donated food, it just really stands out. It's substantial. And we continue to grow those relationships and welcome anybody who wants to come on board and help us with that. And of course, as was mentioned by Lisa, volunteers are critically important to our work. You know, although we had to scale back a bit during the pandemic to keep people safe, typically more than 6,000 volunteers help us one or more times throughout the year here in Spokane. And that's, you know, anything from sorting and packing food for distribution to our network right here in our volunteer center, to volunteering at food drives, to helping with our mobile markets and other activities. They're just vitally important. We couldn't do what we do without them. You know, it's those food donors and volunteers that really stretch the donated dollars that we do receive farther. So, you know, we can't say enough about that. And I loved what Lisa said about, you know, engaging with nonprofits that you care about on social media and through other channels. I think that's an excellent idea. And I hadn't thought about that until she said that. So
yeah, absolutely. We'll all be out following one another after today's session for sure. And Doug, what about for the schools? What can we do to help?
I'm going to be piggybacking a little bit off because there's been some great ideas shared. The first one for the school specifically, fill out that meal application if you can. That's helpful. It keeps programs going. It benefits your family, but it helps benefit and keep that funding for our schools. And then the volunteer, the piggyback piece. We have all sorts of volunteers in our schools. I just would encourage parents to volunteer in your school, show up and volunteer wherever you can. My wife and I, as often as we could, participated in our kids' activities and showed up to different things. And so just volunteer at a school. Come, our schools, our principals love to see parents engaged and helping out. So do that. And please encourage them to have a meal. I mean, really, like I said, this is a great meal program. If it helps just ease a burden, you don't have to pack a meal. You know, get that. We offer vegetarian choices every day. We really try to provide that variety that kids will like. So encourage that. And then if they could, as parents, if we could encourage our kids to eat well and model good eating. I mean, the home environment sets a bar, and I know that, like I said, there's barriers, but with all the really good resources and the ability to get some good food, model good eating, talk about good recipes, you know, and involve your kids in food. I think if we could get kids involved with that, it's wonderful relationship time, but it's also this education, healthy future that you're going to invest in kids. So just do food with your kids.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to say thanks again to our spotlight session partner, Providence Health Care. And I also want to thank all of you, Lisa, Kathy, and Doug, for helping us to better understand the issue of food insecurity and how organizations like yours are hard at work to address this need. Thank you for all of us who've joined today for this session, or for those of you that are catching this on a replay through all of our various channels of distribution. We hope you'll join us next week for our next session, where our Nonprofit Connect is going to be talking with Feast Collective. But for now, have a wonderful day, and thank you again so much for being here with Women Helping Women Fund. Take care.